Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss Show. And in today's episode, I know I'm probably going to upset some Trump supporters, especially on the day that I'm recording this. I'm recording this on because when did that Capitol riots happen? It was like 2021, I think. But yeah, because I think the elections was in 2020. Trump lost, and then it was okay. So I got my dates right. So yeah, it was 2021. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we were all glued to the TV when we seen Trump supporters. Not Trump, because Trump, he wouldn't have did no stupid stuff like that. He'll influence it, but you wouldn't have seen him there, I guess, writing with his people and stuff. And that should overall just tell a Trump supporter how much he cares about you. You know, you see so many different leaders, they were there with their people. Trump, on the other hand, it's like, yeah, he'll tell his supporters to go do some dumb stuff, but he ain't gonna be there, like, right there with them supporting it. Even if it was on some stuff where it wasn't even so much as, like, you know, having to worry about, I guess, people trying to take his life because he's the president. No, it's just he and that was the thing, though. It was like, this was during the first time of him being in office. It wasn't like with the second time where, yeah, it's like you starting to hear, and there might have been a bunch of different cases of people threatening his life and all that other stuff, but I feel like it wasn't as common as it was the second time around. I mean, there's people that actually connected with him, you know, when that guy shot him in the ear and stuff, but anyways, but no, overall though, what I wanted to talk on, I guess, regarding the whole Capitol riot situation was the one person, I don't know how many people overall died that day, I always forget that number, but I know the one person that always gets talked about when we talk on that particular day is that one woman, Ashli Babbitt. And no, you know, the thing is this, I think I can say one thing that a lot of people can agree with is that she didn't deserve to die that day. Yeah, you know, she might have been influenced by the wrong people to do the wrong things, but overall, she didn't deserve to die that day. All right. But, and I think this is the part where it's going to upset a lot of people. Do you think it makes sense for her to show up to a place unarmed? I'm not saying you have to show up to a place armed and stuff, especially no place like that, because yeah, look at the outcome. But overall though, do you think that it was a wise decision to show up to this place knowing that there are people there that are armed and they're ready to take your life, especially if they feel threatened? And then what trips me out is that so many people are trying to, I guess, have it where, you know, either Trump or the state, they pursue charges after the guy. And I'm thinking to myself, this wouldn't be no different than if it was like a home invasion. And I've heard of some stories like that where it's like somebody goes out, because no, it was actually the one, I think it took place in Chicago, where the guy had attacked this woman. He didn't realize that she was armed. She pulled out her gun and she shot and killed him. And I think it was, yeah, the guy's family was trying to have it where charges were pursued after the woman. It's like, if you've seen the video, because it literally happened right in front of a security camera. If you watch that video, the guy was the aggressor. So it's like, you can't say in situations like that, but then you know what's funny is that let it be Joe Biden, let it be, or yeah, his supporters, let it be Barack Obama supporters, Kamala Harris supporters, Bernie Sanders supporters. I'm trying to think who else, you know, even if it had been like some George Bush, like, you know, if we're talking on a Republican, like, you know, president and stuff, or, you know, Republican figure, I guarantee and I promise you, Trump and his supporters, if there was some sort of rivalry, even if it was between Trump and Bush, I guarantee and I promise you, if let's say that's how the elections would have went about, was Bush loses, his supporters storm the Capitol and some of them get shot and killed, I guarantee and I promise you the conversation will be different. But everybody is trying to, I guess, make it seem like that guy that shot and killed Ashli Babbitt, that he was the suspect. No, he was a victim. He was a victim, and he was defending himself the best of his ability, because you have to sit down and think about it. I guess asking a Trump supporter, and I feel like that they're not going to properly answer the question, because I just watched this video the other day where the guy, he was trying to get this Trump supporter to answer this question, and I think he was like, I think it was something along the lines like, would you still support Trump if you knew he would spy on women undressing or something like that? And the guy was all like, oh, no, Trump, he would never do no stuff like that. And he's like, but that's not the question. The question is, would you still support him? And the guy just kept saying like, oh, no, I wouldn't. He wouldn't do no stuff like that. He would never do anything like that. So that's why I'm not really looking for no answers to the questions, because I just know that they're not going to be getting answered truthfully. You know, I just think everybody's going to try to control the argument to where it more so benefits themselves and all Trump supporters. And I'm like, no, that's not what my platform is for. It's not a platform to have it where Trump supporters, they just have a say so in everything that goes on in this world. No, that's not going to happen. But overall though, or even just asking anybody, I guess that's not a Trump supporter. So what would you do if you're armed, you have a weapon, you have a gun of whatever you're choosing, whether it's a AR, a pistol, shotgun, don't matter. You have a gun and you see somebody, all right, trying to break into your home, and you're telling them, hey, back off, I'm armed, like I will shoot you. They're still trying to make advances into your home. What are you going to do in that situation? Because I know what I would do in that situation. If that person, my thing is this, if that person is trying to end my life, and even if it is on some stuff, because I know people about like, oh, well, if they just there to rob you, they're not there. They shouldn't even be trying to rob me. Even if they are on some stuff where they're just there to rob me and they're not trying to take my life, still, you have no business of breaking into my home. So, and the funny thing is, if a Trump supporter, same thing would have happened to them, and they're armed, and it was, let's say it was a Barack Obama supporter or any other supporters outside the Trump circle and stuff, they would do the same thing that cop did. So that's why charges aren't being pursued, because you have to see things from both perspectives. You can't just see it from your perspective and always be right. That's one thing that I just don't get about Trump supporters is that, and just throughout the years of Trump being in office, you see that a lot where his supporters and himself, where it's like they just refuse to hear the other side of the argument and they don't want to see things from both perspectives. They just only want to see things from their perspectives. And that's why a lot of times, like you see where they get laughed at for the statements that they make, because you fill your head up with so much gas to where it's like it pretty much blinds the normal thinking. And that's why a lot of times, like with Trump supporters, it's like you can't hear what they have to say because they're always going to say something silly. And just like with this situation, the Ashli Babbitt situation, yeah, that woman didn't deserve to die that day, but at the same time, she shouldn't have been breaking off into a Capitol and then trying to storm at because wasn't that guy like a cop or a Secret Service or something like that? So my thing is this. And then what's so funny too is that I guarantee and I promise you, with any situation, with the George Floyd situation, how did Trump supporters respond to that? They wasn't all like, oh, the cops shouldn't have did what they did. He's a human being and all, pretty much all the things that they're saying about Ashli Babbitt. No, they was all like, oh, he was high off of fentanyl. He was being aggressive. He was doing this. He was doing that. That's why he deserved to die. That's why he deserved. And it just trips me out where it's like the conversation is that it's always, if it's other people, it's okay if anything happens to them. But if it's one of us, oh, it's a problem. And that's why I'm like, yeah, a lot of the times, like with Trump supporters and their conversations, it's just, it really trips me out that they will, I guess, look at themselves as right all the time. And I'm like, fam, you're not, because you're not. The thing is this, when you're having a debate with somebody, and I was just talking about this, when you're having a debate, when you're having an argument, when you're having any form of a conversation, just whatsoever, and other parties are included, what they say, their words, is going to matter in that conversation. What's the point of having a conversation with somebody, I guess, if you're not going to hear out what they have to say? Like, even if I could just kind of get off topic real quick, if somebody approaches me and they're like, hey, Call of Duty is the best video game of all time, I'm like, and it's one of those things where if I try to like chime in and then they're all like, nope, I'm not hearing you, Call of Duty is one of the best games or it's the best game of all time, I'm going to walk away from that conversation. All right. But if they allow me to say what I need to say and be like, hey, so yeah, maybe the older Call of Duties were some of the best games of all time or the best games of all time, but the newer Call of Duties, okay, and even if I could just have that conversation, so I'm like, so you'll say that the new Call of Duties is better than the old Call of Duties? Because I'm like, if so, then it's like there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with you, and for one, it kind of cancels out your argument, because you're saying that Call of Duty, just the whole series, it's the best, like it's the best series of all time, or it's the bit like, you know, or overall, even if, because I feel like, yeah, now that I open up that conversation, I'm like, what Call of Duty are we talking about? But I ain't gonna get into that conversation. We gonna save that for a day where I am talking about Call of Duty. But overall, though, getting back to what the original conversation was, it's like, yeah, you can't make a statement like that where it's like their latest, or not even latest, their last few games didn't do so well. They got to the point where it's like now they had to put their game on the Xbox Game Pass because people are they're not doing no midnight releases for no Call of Duty. All right, the only game that's gonna get a midnight release in this day and age is probably Grand Theft Auto 6. But other than that, it's like you can't just, going back to what, you know, the original conversation was. Yeah, you can't have a conversation with somebody and only hear out what you have to say. What's the point of having a conversation with people then? You know, so that's why I'm like, what Trump supporters, what they need to understand when we talk on this situation with Ashli Babbitt. Yes, that woman didn't deserve to die that day. But at the same time, if she wouldn't have did what she did, she probably would still be alive till this day, you know, still being able to support Trump. Probably, and that it's one of those things where, do you think in her last moments she was still a Trump supporter? Because I guarantee, not probably, when you're dying, I feel like that's when reality really hits you. Like you know that you're transitioning, you know that you ain't gonna, you know, live to see the next day and stuff. Your mind is probably, it's like, and you're seeing things so clear at the moment, because even I remember watching that video, and I guess for those that didn't get a chance to see the video, so you see where she had, I think, yeah, she jumped up on, like, it was either a chair, because I think it was the Secret Service, or it was cops or whatever that was inside the Capitol. They kind of like barricaded themselves in like certain areas of the Capitol. So they did show where this one cop, I think it was the cop, or he might have been Secret Service, I don't know, but the one that did shoot and kill Ashli Babbitt. So they showed where he was kind of cornered. Like, I think he was like pretty much surrounded by like in all areas and stuff. So you see where it's like they're looking at him, and he's trying, you can't really mouth out what he's saying or hear what he's saying because of how loud it was. But overall, I would imagine that he was telling them to back off. They wasn't listening. Ashli Babbitt, I think she jumped up on this thing. I don't know if she might have had something in hand or what, but that guy aimed his gun at Ashli Babbitt and he shot her. It looked like it could probably been like in the chest region or something like that. I don't know, but overall, she falls backwards, hits the ground, and you can kind of see like the reaction in her face that, wow, like, that really happened. And I guarantee and I promise you, in her last few moments of living, she was no longer a Trump supporter. The thing is this, I am willing to bet money that if she's still thinking in her mind that, oh yeah, Trump's gonna lead us to the promised land, oh, he's gonna come through, he wasn't even there. Because my thing is this, if you cause some stuff like that, even if it's, I'm like, because I'm trying to think of like maybe a movie or a TV show where there's like some villain or whatever, I don't know, but it's like you see most of the times like in some, well, not even so much with like villains, but it's like you see at times like when stuff like that be going down, that usually the person that causes it, they're like there, you know, like they're like, hey, you guys go over here, you guys go over there. Trump wasn't there. And I would imagine they probably, if it still was the same situation, if Trump was there, it still would be the same situation that Ashli Babbitt, she over here jumping on top of stuff, scaring people. Yeah, it most likely would have still been the same outcome. It just, the only difference is that Trump would have been there to see it, you know. But my thing is this, putting myself in that situation, all right? And I know there's going to probably be some people that don't like what I'm getting ready to say, but put me in the situation, you know what, I'm going to put myself in both shoes. So, I'm the cop, or yeah, the guy, let's just say he was a cop, alright, I don't know overall what he is, but I'm just gonna say he's a cop so I could stop dancing around whatever he was and stuff. But anyways, I barricade myself, and I'm thinking I'm safe, but all of a sudden, I start seeing Trump supporters surrounding me at all angles. I know I'm not gonna be able to fight my way up out of here, but I do have this pistol in my holster, alright? They're talking about, like, because if you just heard them chanting that we're gonna hang Pence, my thing is this is one of their own people. This was literally their vice president. 24 hours ago that they supported this man. All of a sudden he gets on TV and I can't remember what Pence said to where it caused all them guys to turn on him. But overall though, they were just chanting that they were going to hang Pence. What do you think they're going to do to me when they get to me? I'm not trying to figure it out. And I'm not trying to figure it out, find out, think about it, any of that stuff. I know that I am going to do the best of my abilities to defend myself. All right. So they got me surrounded. All of a sudden, I see somebody jump up. I don't know if they got guns. I don't know if they got weapons that they can throw at me or weapons that they're going to use. Because they were beating cops with I can't remember what they were beating them with. But was it the flag or something like that? I can't remember what it was. But I remember that they did say that they were beating cops outside. They radio in. They talk about, they're fighting with the cops too. And they snatched one out of the doors and started beating him in the middle of everybody and stuff. I'm like, all right, so I know what's going to happen to me if I don't defend myself properly. I got it. All of a sudden, I just see a woman jump up, and I'm like, first thing that I'm probably going to do, especially if I don't, because it did, I ain't going to say it was dark enough to where he couldn't see, but it's like, you don't know, with that many people surrounding you, you don't know what they have in hand, all right? So my thing is this, to prevent, I guess, from whether, if they do have something in hand, to prevent them from using it on me, I'm going to have to shoot. And I know people ain't going to like that. But that's literally the only option that I guess you can, because again, Trump supporters, if you put yourself in that situation and you're surrounded by a bunch of Barack Obama supporters, right? What do you think you would do differently? And I'm not trying to hear we would try to do this and you would do the same exact thing that cop would have did. So that's why I'm like, I'm not hearing nothing about, we do this differently. But then put myself in Ashli Babbitt's shoes. What would I have done differently, I guess, to prevent myself from getting killed? I wouldn't have showed up to no Capitol, storming the place, and, putting my life in potential danger. To me, that just doesn't even make any sense to do no stuff like that, So my thing is this, if Trump ain't here, what do I look like being here? That's one thing about it where it's like, growing up, if somebody like a kid at school, they was like, oh, Tyler, go do this real quick. Why aren't you doing it? I'm like, why do I gotta go out? Yeah, I might have like a wild personality. I might like to have fun and all that other stuff, but you're doing something that sounds like I could potentially get in trouble. So like, what's, I'm not trying to go through that. I'm not trying to get in trouble at your expense. So it's like, it's one of those things where I'm good. I'm chilling. You go and do it. But it's like, then it's like, they'll go and talk somebody else into doing it. They end up being a victim to whatever, stuff. But then you look up and see, I'm like, oh, dang, that person done got in trouble. Now it's like, but that could have been me, So that's why I'm like, and that's the thing. I've never even, what's so funny?
I am your host, Stassi Schroeder. Welcome to Tell Me Lies, the official podcast. What's the most unhinged thing of season 3?
Steven, because he's so evil.
I do think he is misunderstood.
You see everyone face consequences. It's intoxicating.
The writers just know how to trick you.
There's always a twist in this show. It's nothing you would expect.
Tell Me Lies, the official podcast, January 6th, and stream the new season of Tell Me Lies, January 13th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
This episode is brought to you by Dead Man's Wire, the new film from Roque Entertainment. Dead Man's Wire is the incredible true story of the 1977 kidnapping that turned an aspiring entrepreneur into an outlaw folk hero. Directed by legendary filmmaker Gus Van Sant, Dead Man's Wire stars Bill Skarsgård, Dacre Montgomery, Carrie Elways, and Myha'la, with Coleman Domingo and Al Pacino. Now playing in select theaters everywhere January 16th.
Is that when when Barack Obama, because he served his 2 terms and stuff, but let's just say it was just 1 term. I still feel like that it still would have been, or even no, the president that did lose he didn't even get 2 terms was Joe Biden. Did you see any of his supporters storming Capitol, storming the White House, storming just any place whatsoever, and cutting up to the point where it's like people were going to lose their lives over it? No. Joe Biden and his supporters, they was like, hey, we lost. We're going to take our ball home. We're going to come back another day. And, but I guess overall the support transitioned over to Kamala Harris. And then, even when she lost, there wasn't nobody storming no capitals. It wasn't nobody rioting and losing their minds and all this other stuff. Yeah, it's like the most that we'll do, I guess, a logical supporter, we just gonna take our frustrations to social media. Like, oh dang, Kamala Harris lost. This world is, or this country is doomed. Go on about our business. Go to our 9-to-5s. Go continue on with our careers. Go to, I guess like if some of us is in school and things, go back to more so talking on college. But going back to school, live our lives like nothing ain't changed. And guess what? we all still alive to still, tell our stories and, talk on stuff and all this other. And that's the thing too, where it's like, if somebody else wins an election, yeah, we'll talk on our frustrations. We'll talk. But at the end of the day, we're going to be reasonable. We're going to be, we might not be as respectful, but yeah, it's like, yeah, we might say some things on social media and stuff, but that's as far as it's going to go. At least for me, it's like, yeah, I've just been saying things that's not going to put me in trouble. That's not going to, send me off to jail, prison, whatever the case is and stuff. But yeah, no, I just think that, people need to really look at that Ashli Babbitt situation differently. I'm not trying to say that, she deserved what she got that day, but at the same time, if she wouldn't have been there, she still would have been alive to this day, and it could have been anybody. So I feel like you put any of them Trump supporters in her shoes, it still would have been the same outcome. It wouldn't have mattered who it was. All right. So, but anyways, with that being said, I will talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode, and peace.